Our pilot plant had many work centers, of which the wood shop was probably the busiest. The area owner for the wood shop was Mel, and he ran a pretty tight ship. Now, the wood shop had a lot of equipment that cut materials, and if improperly trained, somebody using the equipment could put themselves in harm's way. Mel took it upon himself to train everybody who wanted to use the equipment so that he would know that they had been properly trained and that they had the best chance of being accountable to the wood shop as well as keeping themselves from harm. Unfortunately, over the years, word got back to us that some people were using the equipment on off hours when Mel wasn't there to hold them accountable, and some of these folks had not been properly trained through no fault of Mel. Now, this was really frustrating, and Mel brought this up a number of times, wondering what he could do to hold people accountable. One day, during a 5S audit of his area, I spent some time with Mel to try to understand what we could do and what I could do to help him create a better system for accountability for those using the equipment in the wood shop. The first thing I wanted to know was what Mel thought about those folks breaking the rules. His initial reaction was to fire them all. Knowing that we couldn't do that, I thought, well, maybe I can help Mel think about a system we could put in to make it visible so that people would be accountable not just to Mel, but to each other and to the rest of us who happened to be there at the time so that we could support Mel's effort to keep people safe and also hold folks accountable. So how could we take the burden off of him to create that accountability? Well, Mel wasn't really sure, and I said, well, Mel, you have a really nice example of visual accountability already in your wood shop. And he quickly recognized that he had this wonderful tool board where if a tool is missing, anybody would know, and it would be easy to hold accountability if we saw someone lay a tool down and not put it back on the board. So all of a sudden, it seemed like the light bulb went on in Mel's head, and I was ready to help him some more, but Mel was ready. He knew what he wanted to do. Over the next 3 weeks, Mel created a system of color-coded badges. So here's what he did. He created yellow, blue, and red badges that he applied to the various pieces of equipment in the wood shop, denoting different safety levels, safety risk levels for that equipment. A bandsaw may have a higher risk level than a wire cutter. So Mel attached those badges. But then what he did was he recertified all the people that wanted to work on the equipment and gave them a color-coded badge to show what level of expertise they had and what level of equipment safety risk they were allowed to work with. Now we had a system that not only Mel could audit, but anybody else in the process. It didn't take long. It probably was less than 2 weeks where we basically got everybody compliant, because if you weren't wearing a blue badge, but you were working on a piece of equipment with blue badging, we could ask the right questions to say, hey, it doesn't look like you've been certified for this level of equipment. Can we set up a time to get you certified before you use this equipment again? All of a sudden we had compliance. There were no more rule breakers, and Mel was able to move on to bigger and better things.
I hope this story provided you with some inspiration to revisit your own processes. I have a lot more I'd like to share. Head over to pi-partners.com to learn how I can help. And check back from time to time for more Kaizen stories.